Hey, I'm Sam. I'm a 22-year-old college student and filmmaker here in the UK. And this is my studio. In my bedroom. Don't get jealous. I've always wanted a space where I could just feel like my creative juices were flowing and make the videos that I was passionate about. I'd go on YouTube and watch these setup videos and tours of people's studios, and it all looked incredible, like the stuff they had I wanted. But then I got a hard reality check. I remembered I was an 18-year-old kid who did not have this massive space or this massive budget, and I just thought that this was some lofty dream to one day have a studio. This is the story about how I made a dream studio on a college budget. Okay, so this is officially day 0 of the room. I've just walked in this room a few hours ago, dumped my stuff. We got C-stands over here. But this is gonna be the podcast studio. This is gonna be where everything is made. You see the boys put a nice little welcome home sign. I'm excited. You know, I wasn't sure. Building a podcast studio in your university room sounds kind of whack. It sounds like it's never gonna work. But I'm actually way more optimistic now than I was looking at the pictures and kind of remembering what the room was like. Every time I was at home and got this sudden wave of motivation to make a video, it went away pretty quickly when I thought about the time it takes to actually get set up and make the video, you know, getting the camera out, setting up the lights, the mics, making the background look nice. And in that time, I ended up not making the video. It is not good for a filmmaker to not want to film stuff. Okay, so here's the plan. To create a space where I want to create and it's easy to create. I want a space that looks good, that doesn't overcrowd the actual living space, but also a space where I can set up and start filming within 2 minutes. That's the goal. Also, a space to edit the content that I'm making, as well as doubling for a setting to do schoolwork, because, you know, gotta get that degree. I'm renting a house here with my 3 friends, and so I know I won't be able to use a whole separate room for my studio, so it's gonna have to be in my bedroom. When thinking about the type of bedroom that I needed, it obviously needed to be big enough to have a studio as well as the bed and anything else I needed in my bedroom. So when we were choosing out of a hat, I made sure to beforehand go and look pretty carefully at each of the rooms and kind of envisage in my mind basically how the studio would turn out if I was given that room. And luckily I got second pick, which meant that I could choose this room, which was actually my first choice. It's not the biggest, but in terms of a background that it offered here, it was definitely my top choice. Okay, so as you can see, we're moving things around. The idea is to create as much floor space as possible to get the studio in, to get a desk in, and not have all of this old, massive furniture just darkening the room. We're trying to fit this wardrobe, which is taller than me. Do you want to help?
In there, now. I help not fall. You go. Can you move that way?
I think if we redid it, we'd get it, and this one, if this was like the up end. Attempt 1 failed, attempt 1. They're laughing, it's gonna be done. It's gonna be done. I'm gonna have it along the ground.
What you think? No, but even then it's still like, it will get through here.
Yeah, but then you lift it, then I lift it up.
No, and that will come to here.
Oh, I know what it means.
I can make it so it doesn't end up upside down.
That could work, although I'd rather not do it right now.
Right, through we come. Wait, so it's on the floor?
Oh,
I hope you don't.
No, in mine not. Come on, more.
There we go.
Yeah, doesn't work. Open this. It's alright, it's here. Yeah, but it just technically works, doesn't it? But I think you should get it into here. And then he puts that there and that there.
Oh! Oh! For the boy!
Is it broken?
And you can open the doors as well, look at that.
1 week later.
Okay, fast forward like a week, here we are. A lot has changed, safe to say. I've had more deliveries than I ever could have coped with. Parcels on parcels on, Parcels. The setup is definitely improving, okay? It's still got a long way to go though. Let me catch you up. Okay, first up, mics. For something that I'm calling a podcast studio, this was obviously essential. So there was a few criteria that I was looking at when thinking about what kind of mic I was gonna get. One, it had to be cheap. This is a budget setup and I know that, so I'm not gonna let the cost get out of hand with the mics. Two was ease of use. I'm not an audio engineer, but the likelihood is that for everything I shoot here, I'm gonna be the sole guy in production. So I want something that I can quickly set up, not have any trouble with, and just enjoy recording. I also plan to travel a bit with these mics, maybe do some recording setups on the road. So the ease of use was pretty important, that I could get it up and running within a few minutes. Okay, number three is clean audio. I didn't want to have to spend a lot of time playing around with anything after in post. I mean, a lot of my time is spent editing anyway, so I didn't need any extra on top of that doing the audio stuff. And also I wanted something where the files were pretty manageable. I didn't want to have to do too many transfers because again, editing time. Okay, so the ones I ended up going with after months of looking around at different mics were these, the Rode NT USB Minis. And let me tell you, after a few months of using them, definitely the right choice. Okay, so the actual audio setup. This is the guy, it's the Rode NT USB Mini. Basically the cheapest decent condenser microphone that you can find online. What this will do is plug straight into my computer in theory. I think these are a really good option. And they're quick, they're light, they're portable. I can take it anywhere if I want to do a podcast on the go. The sound quality is not going to match something like the Shure SM7B, but I knew that going into it. And I wasn't expecting to get something like that out of a mic of this budget. I think these are honestly probably the easiest mics to use in the world. They work through USB-C, so it's not XLR, but it plugs straight into my laptop and is ready to go as soon as I want it to be. Rode also has a special recording software for these mics and a few others called Rode Connect. It's completely free, but pretty much has the capabilities of the Rodecaster Pro, which is like a $500 piece of hardware. It allows you to connect and record up to 4 mics at once, which is really nice to have. And there's no way you could get a similar piece of hardware for anything close to the same price. I mean, it's completely free. It also makes the setup much smaller and easier to take on the road. Rather than having all these cable connections, it's literally just one cable that plugs into the mic and into my laptop. Okay, so for overhead shots like this one, I use the Rode Videomic NTG. It's really great, affordable. And I not only use it to boom over for shots like this one, but I also use it for pretty much everything when I'm out in the field and I just need a good shotgun mic. An added bonus is that it also connects to the Rode Connect software. So if it's a crowded podcast and I need 3 mics, which I've done a few times, I just hook this up to a stand and it works exactly the same as the other mic, so we can have a 3-person podcast. It's pretty nice. And I have the cat thing, so it's good for the wind. Lighting was one of the most important things for me when designing the space. I mean, I'm a cinematographer at heart, so I'm a real sucker for nice lighting. The criteria for the lights were to have a key light that I could use to light this setup, but also other orientations if I wanted to use the studio in different ways. To have a fill or hair light to give the setup some depth and really bring in maybe a bit of color if I wanted to. And then to have a practical light, which I could add to add a little bit of spice to the shot.
Let me add a little bit of spice to that.
And I could take it out if I wanted to at certain points. Everything I ended up getting with the lights is secondhand, and honestly, it's worked absolutely perfectly. And I know it's stuff that I'll use for years to come, so that was definitely a big plus to keep the cost down. Okay, so the next thing to arrive, and the kind of last big thing at the minute, is this guy. This is the Neewer SL60W light, and they're pretty common. They're kind of, again, the cheapest one. I got it on Facebook Marketplace for £70, but it is seriously bright. Look at this. This is 10%. 10%. So for this main light, we've got this huge softbox. Picked up this Godox softbox from Facebook Marketplace, which is absolutely massive. It's bigger than I thought it would be, but it's great because it gives this really nice soft light that I can also use to light multiple different settings in the studio, which is exactly hitting one of the criteria. And everything in this little lighting package came together to under £100, which I think is pretty incredible for the light that I'm getting. Like, it's so soft, it makes the setup look really, really clean, I think. Okay, so I love this thing, but the first thing that you notice is that it is massive. The thing is that I haven't actually taken it down yet. I set it up once, and I'm kind of scared to take it down. One, because I just like having it up, you know, it takes less than a minute to get ready and start filming, which is exactly what I wanted, but also because the first time was a little bit tricky. So, you know, if I don't need to take it down, I don't mind it being in the middle of my room. I'm not gonna like use that space, I guess. So I quite like having it up and I can just start filming whenever. Probably my favorite thing about the setup, lighting is just, it makes it look good. As a fill, I actually use this IKEA, just a floor lamp. Inside it has got a LIFX bulb, so I control it with Alexa and can set it to different color temperatures, which is really, really nice, depending on the look I want to go for. But it's actually a pretty good light, like it gets quite bright, and I haven't really needed anything else for a fill light so far. Sometimes I use my Neewer light panel, which again was secondhand, really cheap. But often I don't need it because this is bright enough, and unless I have another couple of people and want to hair light them from a different angle with a second camera, that's the only really scenario that I use the Neewer light panel. Now I did actually have a practical light that was on that thing there, but it fell off and smashed. So now I'm looking for a different one, maybe something like a neon sign, I'm not sure, but yeah, stay tuned, there's definitely a new practical coming for the setup. Okay, so the big challenge for the last week has definitely been trying to work out how to fill this wall. I mean, it's massive. It's going to be the backdrop of the podcast. So we kind of need to consider two things, right? Soundproofing and how it looks. At the minute, you can kind of tell the sound is not the best. Like, there's definitely a bit of an echo in here still, but also it's completely bare. So this is going to be a good start. Let me get my plant. Okay, not gonna lie, it's looking kind of sad. So I think we need a new plant. Okay, let's talk about the background and some of the space setup so you can see how everything fits together. The obvious focal point for this setup is this amazing wooden coffee table. I did think about getting like a tall one and having stools or chairs or something, but that just seemed like way too big for me for this pretty small room. And so I just had this vision of people sitting at a coffee table doing a podcast on beanbags, like just informal fun. And I knew that that would be way more feasible than getting something taller. So I did what any normal person would do in that scenario, and I went on Facebook Marketplace and looked at every single wooden coffee table they had. You can see this coffee table right here that I just picked up off Facebook Marketplace. It was my first ever Facebook Marketplace purchase. I was meant to pick it up for £25, but the lady who was selling it to me texted me literally as I arrived on her doorstep that one of the legs had broken, and so she couldn't sell it to me. And I was like, well, I'll try and fix it, give it to me for free, and we'll see what happens. And she kindly agreed, and look at that, it's fixed. Okay, it's a bit wobbly still. Yeah, we can secure that, but a free coffee table that's gonna be the main focal point of the setup, yes please, tick. I'm not the best at DIY at all, but I managed to find a way to kind of hold the table in place with the leg that had snapped off. So it looks fine on camera now. Like if I shake it, it shakes a little bit, but honestly, it's pretty secure. What I'm thinking is one person sat here, one there, one there, one there. It's going to be tight, and obviously it's a coffee table, so it's going to be a lower down angle than on most podcasts, but it's going to be a relaxed vibe, and then hopefully can do something really nice with the decor. But that's what I'm thinking. That's my initial thought. Next was these beanbags that you see. So this that I'm sitting on now, really cheap from Amazon, only £15, and I got two of them, so £30 in total. And if you're looking at similar things like Ottoman kind of chairs, these were really cheap and they do look good. I initially didn't buy enough stuffing, so when I sat on it, we kind of sank, but then I got another bag, and I mean, although we're low down now, like, it's a good height for the table, so that was kind of the only thing that mattered there. It sounds bad, but the only thing that I hate about this room is the red carpet. So I knew I had to buy a rug to cover it up. Just got in the door and the rug arrived, which is perfect because I think it's going to be the biggest difference maker for the setup. So cue the time lapse. I'm going to set it up. Not looking forward to it because it's quite heavy and this room is an absolute mess. So I think I got the rug from eBay, this cream color rug, and it really transforms the space as someone walks in. I think it just looks totally different. And it was also really cheap, so why not? Although the rug isn't even in the shot that much, like you can only see bits of the rug, but it really does make a difference just for me living in the room and shooting in it, but also someone who walks in. I think it was a good buy. Goodbye, happy. And then partly for aesthetics, but also for like a bit of sound isolation, I picked up these sound panels, which you can see on the wall. There's a few of them dotted around. I think it just gives the whole room a nice design, but also a little bit, it will help with sound isolation, as well as the rug. The rug will also help with picking up some of the sounds that fly off. So this is all in the name of making a podcast sound good, but also look good on video.
Now, as you can see here, behind the coffee table, that was the desk that I was meant to have, but it was so massive. It literally took up the whole room from here all the way to here. And I just couldn't have that. I needed a smaller desk. You know, I don't need too much stuff on it, just a laptop and a monitor.
I knew after moving the wardrobe that this little nook would be the perfect size to do like editing and work and stuff at a desk. I just needed to find the right one.
Oh, and last thing, the desk. Yep. £25, guys. Definitely some good content going to be made at this desk. Also some work as well. I'm still at university, so yeah, don't worry, mum, I'm still working. But yeah, it's still a bedroom. It's got a desk, a bed, and obviously a podcast studio. So, you know, each to their own.
I didn't really care about drawers or anything like that. Like, I don't use much paper. I knew that I wouldn't need drawers, but I did know I'd need a bit of space so I could just put a monitor and a keyboard and a few other things. Again, Facebook Marketplace came in clutch for this, and I was able to pick it up, great condition, and it's just been flawless so far, like good space. And look, it fits perfectly. It's got my laptop, monitor, Alexa speaker, and a phone charger. Like, that's all I need, that's all it's got. It's brilliant.
Okay, so this is what the studio looks like just on any given morning. We're recording a little golf podcast this morning, and so I want to take you through the process of getting the studio ready to record a podcast, video and audio, how easy it is, and just how it gets you in a good mindset. So the first thing that I always do is turn on this main light. It always stays in this position, which is nice. And so you get this top-down light, which will spread over the both of us sat here. So all this happens is that there's an extension lead from the plug, and then I extend it and plug it in here. So it's kind of a makeshift setup, but it's pretty easy. And it means I don't have to continually move the light and do some other things. So that's nice, that stays there. The other thing to do is just to get the laptop. This light's already on, it's a fill lamp. So we've got our two lights set up. We got the plant and we got the seating set up already. So all that's left to do is just pull up the recording software, get the mics tuned in, get our notes ready, and then just start talking. We've probably been in this room for like a minute so far, and all I've had to do is plug in the light and get the computer, and we're pretty much ready to go.
So I need to plug them in.
See, Charlie's just getting his headphones from under the desk. We got 2 pairs of headphones, and we just each use one of them. Plugs directly into the mic, and so you can hear your own voice and the voice of the other person through the headphones, which is nice. You want that kind of slight noise cancelling, so you don't have any other noise from the background, but also it makes you feel good, doesn't it?
What?
Exactly. So this is one more thing. Under the desk, as you can see, I've mounted little cable things, and so with the USB-C cable that comes from the microphone, I can just tie it underneath and then run that cable under to the computer, which is now sitting on a chair, so that'll be out of shot. And see, Charlie's running his cable under there, so both of them are out of the shot, and we get a nice clean image whilst getting the same audio quality. Okay, what I'm going to show you now is basically how we get ourselves in frame, how we set up the camera so that we're looking good. So as you can see kind of on that monitor, you can see that we can see ourselves in that monitor, and obviously check that we're in frame. The green things around there, that checks that we're in focus. And so immediately, as we've got the setup, we know that we're in frame, we know that we're in focus. And we can also see the levels here on the computer. So we know that audio and video is all looking good, and then we can just get recording. So that's the studio. We've already had some good conversations, but there's lots more on the way. Hopefully this has given you some inspiration if you're looking to make your own creative space, and hopefully it's shown that you don't need to take out a loan to do so. All of the products that I've used are linked in the description, so if you manage to build your own studio, whether that's for music production, podcasting, video, send them to me, I'd love to see them. And let me know in the comments whether you enjoyed this style of video. That's it for now, stay tuned.